Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
Oh man, and we are back this week. And you know what? I'm gonna skip everything. I'm gonna skip the pleasantries. I could talk for an hour about watching American Horror Story Cult. I don't think we have enough time for me to cover how terrible it is and how much I hate it, but
this is delightful. I, meanwhile, have been hate watching A Discovery of Witches only because it's okay. Step one is you get your free week for Sundance Now off of Prime. That's step one.
All right, that's already a very big step.
I know. There's so much commitment to hate watching it.
Like, first you have to write a postcard to Stars.
Yes. With your social security number. And a check to a P.O. box in Omaha.
Oh, God damn it.
Then once you're past that, then you like, and I'm only doing this because I enjoy watching Matthew Good that much. But it's not good. It's good with an E.
What is it?
Okay, so it's based off of a young adult or maybe a new adult. For those at home who can't see Dusty's facial reaction, it's one of pain.
You know, it's that new adult fiction. The second you turn 18, they just give it to you at the Barnes.
Listen, no, there's a whole industry waiting for the women who grew up on YA novels, but who frankly want their heroines to be able to say the word fuck now and then.
Look, that's fair.
Like, please just make them 25. Like, just let them age with me a little bit. Anyway, so this book series, like, as I've been talking to friends about it, it's essentially a Mary Sue shtick, but a lot of like it takes place in Oxford, so a lot of Gothic collegiate architecture porn and old books and everything. But spoiler alert about The Discovery of Witches, what you discover is that there are also vampires in the story. And
no, you just need one. Why do you need two?
I know.
Like, are vampires the natural enemy of witches? I thought it was like...
In this book, yes!
I thought the natural enemy of witches was just like busybody old white men.
Right. Yeah. Nope. In this one, Matthew Good is a vampire, and the leading lady with absolutely no faults, who crews as well when she's not researching alchemy.
You do. You gotta get that like cauldron art. You gotta get your cauldron muscles going. You can't.
Just that's actually a really good point. You need a lot of upper body strength.
Yeah,
and you need to core when you're on the broom. You need to work your core. So anyway, I just watched the pilot, and then I needed like a palate cleanser, so I went to season 2 of The Crown, where Matthew Good plays Tony Armstrong.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wow.
And now we're caught up.
Work to watch a very bad show on what, Sundance Now?
Sundance Now.
Wow. I mean, good on folks for getting shows, but oh my God, that's a tough time.
Don't judge me.
No judgments. Like I said, I spent the weekend hate watching American Horror Story Cult, and I wish to God I could get that weekend back. So who knows? Maybe future bonus episodes, if we ever start a Patreon, it'll just be you and me ragging on everything that Ryan Murphy's ever done.
Oh my! I mean, yes, but with the caveat that like I'm not watching the shows. Someone else.
Would it be like this, where I just give you a summary and then we talk about it? Because I don't think I could live through that.
You mean what we're doing now with third parties?
Different. No. Third party history is fun to talk about. Ryan Murphy summaries are nonsensical, and if like when I'm reading them, I feel like I'm getting ill. Not because of the plot or anything, but it's just like these sentences don't make sense. None of this is
true.
This isn't a story. You could have told this in 5 episodes, not 11.
Why is there ball culture? I thought we were at a Delta fraternity party in the South. What is going on?
Look, he read something interesting on Wikipedia and had to shoo it in episode 7. You know how it is.
Honestly, once again, just more fodder for why I need to be less restrictive about my own writing. Like
100%.
I self-edit so much, and then I watch other things and I'm like, they didn't do it at all. So I need to loosen up.
Yeah, that's, if there's any lesson in this, it's that mediocre white men get it all. And one day may we all be mediocre white men.
So politics.
Anyway, we're actually not talking about a mediocre white man today, so it's gonna be a fun time.
Go on.
All right, I realized something this last week, and that we're neglecting our greatest duties as Chicagoans. Una, we have fucked up. Because if there is one thing folks from Chicago love to do, it is talk about Chicago.
Yeah.
And whether it's talking about all the tourist traps to avoid, bragging about the most brutal winters that we have endured, our favorite food places, or insisting we don't really care that much about deep dish pizza despite all of us having our own private ranking of all the best places where you can go to get it.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, we all know it's Pequod's, and
I haven't tried Pequod's, but for me, in a pinch, Illuminati's.
Yeah, Illuminati's is good.
Yeah.
Just, anything other than Uno's. Uno's is like if you tried to make a deep dish in a tire and sold it to people. Anyway, we don't care about deep dish pizza, but here we are. And the thing is, we'll talk about our beloved city of big shoulders until the end of time, if you will let us. And that's why I'm finally doing a Chicago duty and talking about the other thing that we are known for, political corruption.
Yay!
So whether you're a regional mob that needs some favors, a dead person that really wants to vote in the afterlife, or just simply a grifter with bigger ambitions, the Chicago political machine has always been there for you. The machine that, between the years of 1973 and 2012, saw 31 aldermen being convicted of some form of corruption, which would be nearly a 1 out of every 3 ratio. This is a machine that in 2013 had over half of the elected aldermen accepting illegal campaign contributions that summed up to about $282,000. A machine that has tainted the city of Chicago as one of the most corrupt cities in all of America. But what happened? How did we even let this happen? How does this start? Well, first, we need to understand how we got to this point, and for that we have to go back to 1923.
I'm surprised we don't have to go back further.
I mean, we technically could.
Okay.
If doing my research, I saw the very first alderman corruption scandal happened in 1869, and it was, of course, bribery and zoning shit. You know, the tradition of Chicago corruption.
Love it. I love it. Horse permits. We're making everyone get a horse permit.
So the city of Chicago is, of course, run by a mayor. But beneath the mayor is the Chicago City Council. And in 1923, the city solidified a system of 50 wards. Prior to this, the city had started with 10 wards and had grown to as many as 70. Each ward is split up equally by population and by state law is redistricted after every federal census is completed, and each ward gets its own alderman to represent them in city council. While this is comparable to the 51 council members that New York City has, a city council as big as ours is actually pretty abnormal. For instance, Los Angeles only has 15 city councilors for the entire city.
Whoa.
Philadelphia, I think, has 15 as well. So we're kind of out of the norm. So during the early 1920s, there was even a push to reduce the number of council members to 9. And of those 9, they would be governed by a city manager. This, however, went against the primary importance that the aldermen saw at the time. For one, it would risk reducing their own personal power, a huge cardinal sin. But secondly, it would risk removing many members of the diverse and marginalized groups living in Chicago at the time who had found representation on the city council. As NBC Chicago pointed out, quote, party leaders rose up to defend the ward system, which ensured that every one of Chicago's ethnic groups, Jews, Italians, Poles, Irish, Bohemians, and even blacks, got a seat at the city council. As stated by historian James L. Mariner, he stated, whatever their failings, political bosses are shrewd in protecting their own interests. They saw the city manager plan for what it was, a scheme to replace them with the upper middle class.
Bum, bum, bum.
So yeah, and that's kind of one of the cool things that still exists in the system right now, is that you do have a pretty solid representation of all the cultures in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
Sort of. Mostly. Kind of. So a solution would finally be reached in 1923. The city manager plan would be scrapped. The city would go from 35 to 50 wards, in exchange for each ward giving up their 2 aldermen to now having just 1. Aldermen would be elected to 4-year terms, and all races would from then out be nonpartisan, meaning no one could outwardly run as a Democrat, Republican, or third party. Granted, when seeing a person's platform or party membership, their alliance could become very clear, but it's the principle of the thing.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Oh.
The Municipal Voters League endorsed the new plan, believing that this would give Chicagoans a much better opportunity to clean house and remove corruption at a faster rate. Also, since the change was made in 1923, that's why Chicago has their major elections in odd-numbered years.
Huh.
Yeah.
Another thing that, looking back, is like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we did have an important election in 2019.
Yes.
Weird times. The problem, though, is that the aldermen in Chicago have a little something that not only helps their own personal source of power, but also makes it far, far harder to run against them if they're incumbents. And that's a little something called aldermanic prerogative. Una, are you familiar with this?
I'm familiar with Bobby Brown's My Prerogative. I am not familiar with aldermanic prerogative.
Yeah, originally that song was My Aldermanic Prerogative, and it did not go well.
It was not a bestseller.
Robot. So as described by the Encyclopedia of Chicago, which I wish was funnier than it was. It's just very straightforward Chicago history. Quote, aldermanic prerogative refers to the power of Chicago City Council members to initiate or block city council or city government actions concerning their own wards. It is often based on unwritten understandings among members or on arrangements with city administrators who find it expedient to routinely comply with aldermanic requests. One of the predominant ways that this was used early on was during the Prohibition movement, So if an alderman was against the scourge of drinking, they could rezone businesses in their ward to ensure that booze couldn't be sold. And hence came the strongest power that aldermen have, the right to rezone their wards whenever they want and however they want. So aldermen can block the city from selling or buying land or buildings in their ward. An alderman can rezone an area from industrial to residencies. They can rezone how tall a building can be in their area. And weirdly enough, a lot of those decisions seem to be based on whether property developers and zoning lawyers donate to an older person's campaign.
Yeah.
It's a freaky amount of power, but I'm sure we're not going to talk about it at all today.
Oh.
So another huge side effect is that if you run a business, the older person has a right to rezone your business entirely at their discretion, which tends to result in businesses always displaying the sign of the incumbent. For personal example, in 2019, my ward's alderman was a guy by the name of Joe Moore, and he had been alderman since the early 2000s. Honestly, nice guy, kind of. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe it. He didn't exactly have a magnetic personality. He always seemed very awkward, but every other Friday, he'd be standing in front of the Howard Red Line handing out free coffee and donuts to anyone who was walking by.
I
And
remember
if there's
those.
any way to endear me to you, you give me free coffee, and I will love you forever. That's how it works.
Yeah, I used to live in the same ward as well for many years, and I remember Joe Moore and his donuts. And yeah, that he's tall and
Yeah.
but like there was something very Chicago politician about him. It was probably the free donuts.
Yeah.
But otherwise the man could have just blended into the background.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like a superpower.
Yeah. Joe Moore's not a corrupt man by any stretch. The biggest corruption thing that he got put on him is that he allowed the Democratic Party to operate out of his alderman's office, which is illegal, especially since he's supposed to be a nonpartisan representative.
Well, yeah.
But that was it. That was the one
Yeah.
thing. And kind of one of the suckier things in the neighborhood, too, is that you couldn't just join the Democratic Party here. It was displayed as a thing where it's like, we shouldn't have people pay to be members. They should work to be members. They should volunteer for things like that. Like if there's an event or if there's, it's mainly just events. So if there's an event, you volunteer your time. And if you volunteer enough time, you become a member of the party. Problem with that, though, is that if you're working, say,
3 jobs.
like a middle low class job or multiple jobs or anything in the service industry, yeah, you're not going to have time to devote your time to that. So a lot of the members end up becoming older people who have a ton of time to do that.
So much time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a really good way to keep some people out of the process. It's a real bummer. But anyway, so Joe Moore, not a bad guy really by any stretch, but he ended up getting a very strong competitor this last year by the name of Maria Hadden. And Maria is fucking awesome. She is so fucking great. And when Joe Moore was initially elected as an alderman back in the early 2000s, he was considered to be quite the progressive back then. Mm-hmm. But as time passed, his politics really didn't progress even further left. And so Maria, now representing the further left sort of view of things.
Right. And a neighborhood that's always been a little bit more progressive and certainly like more so as more young people move to it.
Exactly. She ended up gaining a lot of support. But the thing was, you would never see a Maria Hadden sign in the front of any businesses. And you would always see Joe Moore's signs there. But you would see Maria's signs in all of the residencies across the neighborhood. And so even with a guy who probably wouldn't use it against you if you put a Maria Hadden sign in your front, businesses still didn't want to take that risk. So just imagine how that would go, say, if you had a corrupt alderman like Ed Burke, allegedly corrupt. His trial hasn't ended yet. And suddenly you have businesses that can't afford to not support an incumbent. Not only that, but can't afford to not donate money to actively campaign for them.
Oh my God!
It kind of encourages corruption to stay in power.
Oof.
And that's at least partially how Chicago became such a hotbed of corruption. As the Chicago Tribune would put it, you create a system that is essentially, quote, 50 aldermen serving as the mayor of 50 wards.
Yeah. Well, it's more like a weird fiefdom.
Yeah.
Like it's like pre-Sun King France. There's still a king, but the king hasn't yet built Versailles and been like, all you motherfuckers like really actually need to be paying your taxes and like working under me as an absolute monarch.
No, that's a very good way to put it.
But then I feel like the last aldermanic election, I remember like so much of the complaint across the wards was like, is your alderman a yes man to Rahm Emanuel? It was like that. Mm-hmm. That was the greatest thing you could throw at an incumbent to hopefully try to get them out. It's like, are you showing up and just like approving shit for Rahm? Mm-hmm. If so, it's like, can we please have like stronger fiefdoms?
Yeah. This brings us to part 2 of our tale, the neighborhood of Westtown. Or as we locals are more likely to know it, the multiple neighborhoods of Pulaski Park, East Village, Noble Square, River West, East Humboldt Park, which I initially thought was like a Craigslist term so you could sell houses near Humboldt Park, Smith Park, Ukrainian Village, and the infamous Wicker Park.
Oh, lay it on me. Lay it on my real estate porn loving self.
And it's that last one that we're going to be focusing on a ton, because the topic of today made Wicker Park the throne of his own personal power.
Oh, I can't wait.
So Wicker Park began to exist a little bit after the Great Chicago Fire in 1871. Not being interested in rebuilding their homes on the top of smoldering rubble, the people that could afford to move northwest to build their new abodes did. Mostly this included wealthy German and Norwegian immigrants. And fun fact, in the neighboring neighborhood of Logan Square, there is still a church that does services in Norwegian.
Get out.
Yeah, it's right off the Logan Square Blue Line.
Oh.
Merchants and beer barons created huge mansions on Hoyne and Pierce Avenue, some of which still exist today, and they are fucking gorgeous.
They are worth a socially distant stroll on a date with a partner. It's lovely.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous.
So towards the end of the century, the first of the neighborhood's cultural shifts would occur as immigration from Poland would increase. Wicker Park would become a part of what is known as the Polish downtown or the Polish Gold Coast, despite the fact that Wicker Park is nowhere near Lake Michigan. Throughout the World Wars, Polish immigration would continue to increase. During World War I, the provisional Polish government would meet in Wicker Park, and an estimated 150,000 Poles would move to Wicker Park during and shortly after the Second World War, just as Ukrainians had done in the neighboring Ukrainian village. The next huge shift would come in the 1960s, when the city created that bastard of a highway, the Kennedy Expressway. Now, the goal of the Kennedy is to be able to connect O'Hare and downtown Chicago. That's it. You need an expressway to get you from our fancy airport to goddamn downtown.
That makes me even angrier when, like, thinking back on a year ago when Elon Musk kept threatening to build some crazy 12-minute portal.
Yeah, some like underground hyperloop, and it's like, where are you going to do this?
One, please get out of our town. Go.
I do love that he's been called Space Karen this week. It's been beautiful.
I just love that it's like I live in a city that successfully told the Olympics to fuck off. It's like, and Elon Musk wants to. Musk thinks he can just roll up. It's like, bitch, we didn't even say yes to George Lucas when he wanted to build a museum here.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, yeah, you come to Chicago to say you want to build something. It's like, we've built enough. We're good.
It's like, you come to Chicago for heartburn. That's it.
Yeah, we're going to teach you how to survive a winter on your own fat. That's what we're going to do. And look, we're full. We're full of places to build. There's nowhere left. And it should also be noted too, all Chicago highways are the fucking worst. They're very important to the infrastructure of the city, but all of them equally suck to drive on, and their existence sucks, and I hate them. I hate them all. Fuck the Edens, fuck the George Ryan, fuck the Kennedy.
Okay, yes, they are. It's every metropolis in America that has some Detroit, I think, being like number one in terms of unnecessary highways that have cut through historic neighborhoods and rendered the downtown useless. But I will say one of the highlights from the first month or so of the pandemic was listening to NPR in the morning and realizing that, like, okay, so the traffic report is going to be hilariously nothing. Like, usually it's like, 70 minutes to eternity on the Eden Express.
Yeah, let me see if I can NPR voice this here. Thank you for listening to WBEZ NPR Chicago. On the Edens downtown, there will be an hour and a half wait coming in from the north. Coming in from the south, it'll be 15 minutes from downtown to Winnetka.
Yes.
Please join us at the Roosevelt Theater this week as we listen to Salman Rushdie talk about his 3 favorite restaurants in downtown Chicago.
Amazing. Thanks. Exactly like that. Exactly like that. Well, what happened was on these expressways is you had like at most 20 people a day driving. And I woke up one morning to hear about a car on fire.
You did it, Chicago. You goddamn did it.
It's just this idea of like, oh, of course, like everyone's just so excited to drive. And so the accidents are even worse now.
Oh my God. I love this city. I'm so glad I sold my car early on. It is the worst place to drive.
Yep.
Anyway, what are we talking about? Politics? Sure.
Yes.
All right. So the thing, though, is to build the Kennedy, you're 100% right. You have to cut through a multitude of neighborhoods to do that. And a whole hell of a lot of eminent domain has to happen to make that a possibility. And seeing as how the new highway would cut right through Wicker Park, a ton of Polish residents got immediately displaced. And this would wreak havoc in the networks that the Polish immigrants had created and drastically reduce the value of the properties that were soon to have an 8-lane highway as their neighbor.
Oof.
And as the Poles left for other neighborhoods, they were replaced by people who had just been recently displaced themselves, not via eminent domain, but via gentrification. See, prior to 1960, the neighborhoods of Old Town and Lincoln Park had been bastions for Chicago's growing Puerto Rican and Latino communities. But once gentrification started, many residents could no longer afford to live there and moved west to the suddenly more affordable Wicker Park and West Town area. But certainly, just like the Poles before them, they were sure to have every opportunity to turn the neighborhood into a shining beacon of culture and success, right? Well, of course not, because banks get to decide that shit. And banks suddenly decided to redline the entire fucking neighborhood.
Wow.
So, for those unfamiliar, redlining is a practice here in America in which a bank will refuse to grant a loan or insurance to someone who lives in an area that has been deemed too dangerous. And being deemed too dangerous is code for people of color live there.
Yeah. And I think like redlining in particular has like significant connotations for Black neighborhoods. Because there was an article through this online journal I really love called Belt that like has, it's like if the New Yorker actually knew and respected the Rust Belt. That's how I would describe it. It's like that level, that quality of writing, but specifically for Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the Midwest. But they had an article about yellow lining, which is for if your neighborhood happened to be like very Italian, very Irish, one of those things where it's like you're a generation away from being considered white.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, and redlining is one of the major reasons why Chicago still remains as one of the most segregated cities in the entire country. And it's very disturbing that that's still very much the case nowadays. So now that the residents of West Town couldn't get loans or insurance, businesses left and the neighborhoods fell into a forced decline. Now, that's not to say that attempts weren't made to remedy this fuckery. The Spanish Action Committee led multiple marches downtown to protest the banks. Small youth groups called the Latin Kings and the Young Lords formed to conduct sit-ins and protests at the welfare offices in various buildings around the area.
Oh, damn.
However, nowadays, if you live in Chicago, you'll recognize the names Latin Kings and Young Lords for very different reasons.
Very
and that's
different
because
reasons.
after they were not able to get any sort of substantial change to occur, they slowly devolved into street gangs.
It's when you don't give them any other economic opportunity.
Yeah, strange how that happens. I was also reading about how during the 60s, there were also two major riots that occurred in the area. In 1966, there was the Division Street riots where a cop shot an unarmed Latino fellow in the leg. People immediately started throwing bricks at the cops for doing that and started yelling at them and trying to give this guy aid. More cops showed up. One of them let his canine attack the people, and then more folks showed up, and then there were 3 days of riots.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now you look at Division. My God.
My God, fucking Division. Well, we're going to get to it.
Okay, I won't jump the gun, but I will say I got to watch it.
It's kind of part of Chicago. You kind of, yeah. So by the 1970s, Wicker Park had fallen the furthest it would go. Insurance-based arsons were very common, and the businesses that had remained through the building of the Kennedy packed up and left. Poverty rates increased, and the neighborhood became synonymous with sex work and high rates of violent crime. But that's the kind of phrase that sounds like pure gold to one kind of person: land developers. Now that the neighborhood had been redlined into poverty and its residents robbed of any chance of making the neighborhood their own, land developers began to schedule tours of Wicker Park. And this kicked off a huge land grab where developers bought buildings on the cheap to then renovate in a process known as gentrification.
Wait, sorry, and what year?
This would have been the 1960s or the 1970s.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And as land developers had done to them in Lincoln Park in the 1960s, the Puerto Rican and Latino communities of Wicker Park were forced to move somewhere else once again. So what followed is step 2 of gentrification: bring in the artists. So throughout the 80s, thanks to cheap rent, huge lofts, and being close-ish to downtown, Wicker Park became a haven for artists, musicians, and theater folks. By the end of the decade, the neighborhood was home to micro-galleries, cool kid bars, and gritty music venues. By the 90s, Wicker Park gained Subterranean and the Double Door, 2 music venues that would become bastions of the neighborhood. The Double Door, on its opening week, hosted a band called Star Children, which was the original name of the band Smashing Pumpkins. The Double Door you might also recognize from the movie High Fidelity.
Yeah, Chicago used to be cool, y'all.
Yeah, it was a really cool neighborhood.
Yep.
Thanks to gentrification. It could have been a cooler neighborhood, but nope, we gotta mass produce the cool first. So Wicker Park was ascending to the rank of the coolest neighborhood in the whole city. But it was that kind of cool that is still dangerous cool. If you've ever seen the movie High Fidelity, that's exactly what Wicker Park was like in the 90s. Uninterested and actively fighting against any kind of selling out, and just chock full of indie artists who are even more than eager to scare off any squares there to cash in on the scene. Not really knowing that, despite the fact that you feel that way, you're still helping that happen. And the neighborhood stayed like this, debatably, until the mid-2000s, when stage 3 of gentrification hit. Stage 3 is kicking out the broke artists, letting the rich ones stay, and then capitalizing on all those cool points you've earned. So when I first moved to Chicago back in 2007, I moved near Wicker Park to a neighborhood called Logan Square. And I visited Wicker Park the next week, and the whole thing was just its own weird kind of awesome. I fell in love with it pretty quickly. The main memory I have is of a bar called the Pontiac Cafe. The Pontiac used to be a gas station, but had undergone just enough of a renovation to become kind of a dive bar. The night I went was open mic rap night. There was extremely cheap beers, and wandering around the place was a bulldog that was as old as he was overweight, and he would just waddle up next to you and lean on you in a desperate attempt for pets.
Oh,
It was also incredibly open air because they had the garage doors at the
love
gas
it.
station that used to be there, and just all of them were up.
Oh my
I read
gosh.
stories about how the bathrooms there were one of the worst in Wicker Park because they would just overflow and no one would even try to fix them.
Oh God.
But that's the kind of dangerous
Yeah.
pool you want when you're going to like a dive bar. You want to like feel like you're surrounded by fun, cool people. You want to be very careful when you go to the bathroom, and you want to drink very cheaply. And maybe there might be a really sweet bulldog that will almost die when you touch it. But the reason I bring up the Pontiac is an example of what Wicker Park was and what it would become. Because shortly thereafter, the Pontiac would close down, be torn down, and then turned into a fancy and pristine taco joint. The weird and fun stores that had been there for years were taken over by Marc Jacobs and Urban Outfitters. But despite that, the neighborhood had become synonymous with, quote, hipster culture, to the point that the super cool Forbes magazine dubbed Wicker Park the fourth most hipster neighborhood in America. And
Yep.
so, I don't know, do you think we need to describe hipster culture? Has it been that long?
But
Been like
no.
15 years, 10, 15 years?
Oh my God. Well, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I assume no, but you're right. Like the 2002 hipster was such a thing unto itself.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hipster culture can best be defined as oh my God, it's like unironic interest, I guess. Or like, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. It's taking an interest in things that are unique and odd, but just for the sake of appearances.
Right. And very analog.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's embracing of older technology and embracing of older Anglo ideals while also
Accurate.
forcing out communities that had been there for longer amounts of time.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like dangerous irony kind of in its own way, but
Ooh,
I don't
which
know.
makes
It
it
was
sound
such a weird
sexy.
time because it's hard for me. Like I was a proto hipster kind of in college because I liked wearing weird hats, and I was discovering new music I hadn't heard of before, and I was really, I had a pocket watch. It was like a number of things that like, yeah, that's hipster bullshit right there. But it's just like I just like wearing hats. I like this pocket watch because it's harder for me to lose it.
Like for us in college, I felt like the peak thing was like for women at least, like are you actively dressing in an unappealing manner?
Yep.
This is like there's thrifting, and then there's thrifting where it's like those are definitely mom jeans.
Yeah.
This is like everything you're wearing is garbage and is not flattering.
Yeah. I kind of feel like hipster fashion is based on I can visibly tell this joke once, and then you will hear it every other 2 weeks until these clothes fall apart. It was a weird dark time in,
Yeah.
in American
Yeah,
culture.
the Iraq War was happening. We needed a distraction.
We just wanted to listen to Modest Mouse on our.
Yeah. People kept gifting me CDs of the Libertines. It was just
Oh God, that's a rough time. But Una, who could
dusty.
possibly be the mayor of such a hip and cool town
Oh no.
as Wicker Park? And the answer to that would be a fellow by the name of Proco Joe Moreno III.
Oof.
So Proco would be born in 1972 in Moline, Illinois, in the area known as the Quad Cities, so right on the Iowa border. There isn't a ton out there about his early life, but we do know that he went to Augustana College in Rock Island and would leave there with a double BA in business and art. Shortly thereafter, he would move to Wicker Park, right in the midst of its mid-90s super cool for young artists period. He would end up getting his MBA from DePaul University in 2003, and thereafter become the vice president of a printing company. And after getting his degree, he would also get his first boost into the world of politics. The United Neighborhood Organization is a nonprofit here in Chicago that works to increase the education and prosperity of the Latino communities of Chicago. And they do this through a number of programs, but also kind of by charter schools. So it's a bit of a mixed
Ooh.
bag. So one program that they run is called the Metropolitan Leadership Institute. And the goal of the program is to foster development of Latinos who wish to enter politics. And following graduation from this program, Proco would enter his first ever race in 2008 for state senate. He would face five-term state representative Willie Delgado, who the year prior had been appointed to the state senate seat after Miguel Del Valle became Chicago city clerk. The race wouldn't be very favorable to Joe, and he would end up losing to the incumbent 60% to 40%. But lucky for Proco, he wouldn't have to wait long for his next chance. Because in 2010, First Ward Alderman Manny Flores would be appointed by Governor Pat Quinn to run the State Commerce Commission. And Flores would accept, leaving the First Ward open for Mayor Richard Daley, hold for booze, to appoint whoever he wanted. Now,
Daily.
boo. Never trusted Daley. So I'm about to say that this is humongous speculation. I saw this kind of confirmed in another newspaper. So prepare for outrageous speculation.
Ah, yes, my favorite kind.
So turns out that Manny Flores also had graduated from the same program that Proco Joe Moreno had. And my theory is that Manny would probably go to Mayor Daley and say, hey, this guy was from the same program I was in. I trust him. I think you should appoint Proco Joe Moreno to my alderman seat. And Mayor Daley, being a busy man and someone who probably makes a lot of personal power off of favors, agrees. This is all speculation. I do
Still
not see
speculation, but also Occam's razor.
yeah, I mean it seems to be the simplest solution that's out there. So yeah, and so just by one quick decision, Proco Joe Moreno suddenly becomes the alderman of the first ward. Congratulations, you waited 2 years.
Puzzle.
And it wouldn't take very long for Proco to gain his newest nickname, the Hipster Alderman.
Yes.
And Proco made it very clear that he absolutely loved everything about Wicker Park living. He was a regular at hipster hangouts like the Crocodile Lounge and the Rainbow Club.
I love the Rainbow Club.
Rainbow Club is great. Rainbow Club is or at least back then was a wonderful mix of just regulars who have been going there for the past 300 years and a bunch of shoegazy hipsters, and somehow they live together in one microcosm. I don't know. Would you describe that as accurate?
I would, yeah, and I would also throw in that like sometimes you could get some really delightfully punk shows going on in the Rainbow Club.
Oh my god,
And
yeah.
it was also like there are a number of little dive places along Division that still have wood paneling.
Oh my god, I love those bars.
So like the Rainbow Club also had a feel of like someone's extra large, half refurbished basement in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Like it was...
Yeah. It's like someone opened a supper club in the family room and
Yes.
we're gonna keep running it until we get shut down.
Like I could see a fish fry happening there as much as a mosh pit.
Oh my god, yes. So Proco would also be seen at shows at the Double Door, the Empty Bottle, and Subterranean, and he made absolutely no secret of his love for hardcore punk icons Minor Threat, describing them as one of his favorite bands. Plus, dude was only 37, and someone that young in political years was easily dubbed something like a hipster when that name was both an honorific and an insult.
It was pre-vaping, but if it hadn't been, he would have been on it.
Oh yeah, he would be Fruit Loops vaping all over the place.
Yes.
In his first year as alderman, though, Joe's confrontational personality would make a very brief appearance. In an interview with Time Out Chicago, Proco described a moment when he shut down an illegal concert in Wicker Park. The promoter of this particular nightclub hadn't checked with that the owner had all the permits he needed to run the show that he wanted to, and Joe went to talk to him in person the night of the event. According to Joe, quote, the promoter said, I paid 10 grand for the acts, promotion, and venue, and we just got the night started. Who's going to pay me back? He tried to raise his chest at me. I said, are you a good businessman? He said, hell yeah. I said, no, you're not. You got screwed. You should have checked if the owner had the right licenses before you did this. Go down the street, talk to Debonair, talk to Subterranean. They promote good shows. You're done.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. The interview did note that this kind of makes him seem like a narc.
Yeah.
Because if you're in Wicker Park, yeah, people are doing illegal shows. There's definitely a hardcore punk show in someone's laundry room happening at the exact same time that this show's happening. I guarantee it. Someone is in a building full of lofts that got shut down decades ago. And yeah. But Joe made a really good point that there have been horrible disasters that have happened when you let shows like this happen. But also, he's the alderman. He can't exactly let shit like this slide.
Yeah.
But he also kind of eased the pain a little bit by letting it slip that he used to go to raves a lot when he was 19 and 20.
Oh, even if you're 19 and 20, don't ever admit that. Just people listening, don't ever admit that you've gone to a lot. Like you could be rave curious. I'm not going to fault anyone for that. It's like, yeah, I ended up at a rave, whatever. I was 17. It was fine. Someone gave me a pacifier made out of candy. It's like, yeah. And then you don't go back.
Like, yeah, I mean, I've never been to a rave, and I would never admit if I did, but I mean, I'd be the squariest square at a rave. It would not be a fun time. I don't look good in pastel.
There aren't enough drugs to make the music good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would much rather go to a punk show where I get kicked in the head, which has happened, than I would a rave.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Joe went to raves. He seems like a cool dude. He talked about like this weird Manchester scene that was kind of popped up around where he was at the time, which I guess was Rock Island, Illinois, which as someone who lived there for a summer, I doubt that was the case.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like it's leading anywhere good.
But still, how fucking cool is this guy? He likes music. He drinks at bars. And the answer, Una, is he is cool enough to win his first election for alderman by a landslide.
Oh, I'm so proud.
In 2011, Joe would take 73.5% of the vote. And really, he seemed like the perfect choice for such a unique neighborhood. He ascribed to progressive policies. He caucused with other progressive aldermen. He actively supported the arts within his community and spoke of very strong support for Chicago City schools. Not only that, but Moreno also paid for people's snow removal during the freaky huge blizzard of 2011, which, if I'm remembering right, was about 3 feet of snow.
Oh, it shut down Lakeshore Drive completely. Like
Oh my
it
god, yeah, I forgot
stranded
there were like
cars.
buses and cars stranded on
Yeah,
Lakeshore Drive, which is like
it's
it's a highway
dangerous.
that you're supposed to drive 45 miles an hour on, and no one ever does.
Fuck that. I got
No,
somewhere to be.
no, look, we're driving downtown. All of us are late. Deal with it. There's never any cops here. We're
Yeah,
just going.
it's 60 or it's dangerous. Like, because someone's gonna rear end you going 60.
Yeah, and then there's that weird chicane around the Drake Hotel, and you're just like, fuck.
I hate everything. Why is there suddenly a stoplight?
Oh my fuck, that stoplight is that Rush, I think? Either which way, that stoplight
Yes.
is the fucking devil. Those 3 stoplights between downtown Chicago and the museum district can fuck clean off. I'm glad for everyone not from Chicago listening to this podcast.
Hopefully we get more listeners from Chicago.
Oh my god.
Who call in to tell us how wrong we are about everything.
Those stoplights are very important. I want you to know. Anyway, but Joe also started something called Run the Ward, events in which he would encourage people to exercise, jog around the ward, in which he would do himself as well. But the thing that would boost Proco to nationwide fame would come when a tiny little chicken chain wanted to put a location in his ward. Chick-fil-A, known for kind of overpriced sandwiches, small quantity of food, and always being closed on Sundays, wanted to open a chain in his ward. But Chick-fil-A also had made it very clear their stance on marriage in America via donating a shit ton of money to anti-LGBTQ plus organizations.
So much money. Also why they're closed on Sundays.
Yeah,
Because they're revering
very
the
religious.
Lord.
God does not want you to sell chicken on Sundays. That's a fact.
Loss.
That's why Popeyes is the atheist restaurant.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong.
Strike me down if I'm wrong.
And we all know KFC is for, well, no, I don't want to say KFC is for Satanists, because there's a really wonderful Satanist up at the nearby coffee shop, and she always crushes the coffee she makes for me. So
What?
yeah. Well, and I only know this because she wore a Satanist Church of Satan shirt while she made my coffee, and I was like, oh, okay, this is great.
Amazing.
Thank
Amazing.
you.
Well,
Thank you, Satanists, for wonderful coffee.
Yeah.
Like I said, you give me good coffee, I will love you forever.
yeah. We burn in hell for this. At least the coffee's warm.
Boo. Boo. You beat me to it.
So Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Chick-fil-A, they don't give you enough chicken. It's completely overpriced.
So
Not open on Sunday.
It's all bullshit.
So using aldermanic prerogative, Proco told them to fuck clean off, banning them from opening a new restaurant in his ward. Chick-fil-A, being the good guys they are, promised to Proco that after hearing out the opinions of their customers, aka losing money when people found out their homophobic bullshit, they would immediately change their stances on how they view and treat LGBTQ plus folks. Following this, Proco and Chick-fil-A began a dialogue that made it seem like he would use his prerogative to undo his decision and allow them to open their anti-gay chicken hut. But that would all fall apart again when the president of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, would go on Fox News and state, quote, "There continues to be an erroneous implication in the media that Chick-fil-A changed our practices and priorities in order to obtain permission for a new restaurant in Chicago. That is incorrect." And once again, Proco rebanned Chick-fil-A from the first ward of Chicago. And since then, 5 Chick-fil-A's have opened in Chicago, all of them downtown.
Yep.
But now, Proco Joe Moreno had the national spotlight. The Hipster Alderman made a stand for LGBTQ plus people and actually kept capitalism from winning somehow. But even better, Proco also found love. In 2011, Proco would meet Selena Roldan, the executive director of Erie Neighborhood House, an extremely kick-ass nonprofit here in Chicago. The two would meet via various networking events, and within a year, the two would be married. The two would even be named one of the biggest power couples in the city, one publication even going as far as to rank them only behind Barack and Michelle Obama.
Oh, damn. Oh, I love this.
2012, though, would be the first moment where things would start to seem kind of weird with Proco. You see, that year the Chicago Teachers Union had called a full strike, and Proco, despite his statements of supporting Chicago public schools, was completely against the strike. So against it that he actually went on Fox News Business to state that the head of the teachers union, Karen Lewis, was forcing teachers to stay on strike against their will, and that if teachers wanted to strike, they should do it while children aren't in school, and to not punish the children.
Oh, go fuck yourself, dude.
So teachers quickly made a point to note that the vote to go on strike was 98% in favor and 2% against.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one of the big things when you go on strike is you have to have leverage. And so
Yeah.
striking during the school year is some pretty good fucking leverage.
Yes, the withholding of labor.
And it also sucked because Proco kind of let it slip a couple of times that he seems to have a stronger love for charter schools than for public schools.
Boo.
But despite suddenly appearing on Fox News while declaring himself a full-tilt progressive, this wasn't enough for Proco Joe to lose his seat. In 2015, he would be reelected, but this time he only got 51.1% of the vote.
Yikes.
Both of his competitors, Ann Shaw, and I cannot remember the name of the other person, Ann Shaw came in second, would both state that there seemed to be some weird election fuckery going on and file some fraud claims, but neither of them ended up going forward. But it's after this election that things get really interesting for Proco. So remember how much of a tough guy he decided to be when he shut down that illegal nightclub in 2010?
Can't forget it.
Well, you hadn't seen anything yet, because someone running an illegal show at a nightclub is nothing compared to trying to shut down Proco's favorite music venue. In 2016, the Double Door was rather suddenly informed that they would no longer be tenants of their building, despite constantly paying their rent on time, a rent that had increased to $26,000 a month. And to be fair, the Double Door is in a very prime bit of real estate in Wicker Park. It is at a six-way stop of Division, Milwaukee, and Damon? Am I remembering right that it's Damon? Either which way, it's a six-way street that is where just everything comes together in Wicker Park. It's literally the heart of Wicker Park. And since 1994, the Double Door had grown into a legendary music venue. Of all the trivia about the place, the most ridiculous is that if the Rolling Stones are in town to perform at a huge arena, the odds are incredibly good that they will sneak over to the Double Door at some point to put on an unannounced show. But the one person the Double Door was never able to win over was their own landlord, a dude by the name of Brian Strauss. In 2005, Strauss nearly shut down the Double Door during a leasing dispute that at first was described as Strauss not liking the, quote, culture that the venue brought to the area, but then stated that it was purely about wanting to charge the bar more rent. And after 2 hours in court, the Double Door would sign a lease that had increased their rent, but also guaranteed they would be in the space until at least 2014. So when 2016 rolled around, Strauss asked for another rent increase, and the Double Door began looking for other options to move their club. They would decide to stay, but Strauss would claim that they waited too long to make their decision, and would then state that they were kicked out. They would enter into arbitration in the Chicago courts, but 18 months later, the courts would side with Strauss, and the Double Door would be officially evicted in 2017.
I remember that.
So like I said, the courts and Strauss evicted the Double Door. And so that day, Strauss went down to the building, put a big old lock on it, and suddenly Proco Joe Moreno III stormed right the fuck down Division Street to get right in the face of Brian Strauss. And lucky for us, someone had their phone out to film the whole thing.
Yes!
So Alderman Moreno put his finger in Strauss's face and began to very clearly threaten the landlord. Quote, part of your life is you're not going to have a tenant in here for 3 years. You're not going to get a dime out of this building. It's going to be an empty building with no income for you or your family. End of conversation. And that would be because Moreno, using aldermanic prerogative, downzoned Strauss's building after the eviction, making it overwhelmingly harder to find tenants for the building's apartments and business space.
Holy shit.
Moreno continued by threatening, I'm going to have inspectors in there on a daily basis. You watch. And when you come back to me on your knees, which is going to happen, and then it kind of cuts out a little bit. Strauss did not back down, and true to his word, Moreno downzoned the building, leaving it to sit vacant for years, and only recently has become the future home of Yeti, a cooler company based in Texas.
Yeah, it's like walking past where CBGB's used to be, man. It's a level of heartbreak. But wow, but this is better than Godfather 2, in my opinion.
And yeah, admittedly, when all this happened, I was all for Moreno. The Double Door is a Chicago icon, and the idea of some stuffy, money-hungry landlord who sounds like he has marbles in his mouth and you know he fucking votes Republican all the goddamn time is just continuing gentrification of the once genuinely cool Wicker Park and is just tailor-made to make people fucking hate the landlord and make people love Moreno. Now, kind of a fun thing, too, the Double Door will be opening up again in Uptown.
Oh my God! This is so exciting!
It's gonna be great.
Oh, if only I went out to see shows.
I know, right?
I mean, quarantine aside.
Yeah. I mean, thinking about that, I haven't been to a show since like 2018. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So Proco would make smaller waves in 2018 due to an incident involving the other great passion of Chicago, parking. So you see, Proco was driving around in his black Audi, already a red flag, in Wrigleyville, another red flag.
And saw 2 strikes.
And saw a parking spot he wanted. However, a woman had already pulled into it before he could get to it.
This is a Seinfeld episode. I'm just going to put that right out there. This is a Seinfeld episode.
All right, let's see how much it matches.
Okay.
So Joe pulled up next to her car and pulled out his badge. Yes, aldermen get badges. And yes, they look pretty much exactly like police badges.
That should be illegal.
Well, technically, aldermen are technically peace officers. So that's kind of how that happens.
Ugh.
Moreno flashes the badge to her and ordered her to leave the spot and said, quote, you better pay your parking tickets. This is how we do it in Chicago.
Is he snorting rhino horn? Like, what is happening to this guy? Why is he so angry?
To which the woman said, I'm from fucking Texas. I can do whatever I want.
This is not going well for either party.
A fight in Wrigleyville? No. Once again, for people who are not from Chicago, Wrigleyville is where the baseball stadium is and is where everyone you hated in high school gets drunk.
Yes, 100%. No, and it's even more accurate than that because the bar culture in Wrigleyville is so over the top and terrible. I have felt like I was back in Cancun walking through a Friday in
Yep.
Wrigleyville.
Yeah, if you have the option, never drive through Wrigleyville during any weekend or holiday. You will almost hit 8 people.
Yes, 100%.
So Moreno would leave, but the woman would contact the Chicago police to tell them that someone had impersonated a police officer in order to steal her fucking parking space.
She's not wrong.
And the cops very quickly figured out that it was Proco and set to asking him,
God.
"What the fuck, dude?" In an interview with the Tribune, Proco would state that he wasn't pretending to be a cop and was just admonishing the woman for parking in a bike lane, and that unless she moved closer to the curb, she might get a parking ticket. The matter would be settled in private, and no public punishment was given to Proco. This leads
I was a quote unquote peace officer.
Look, I just like everyone else who parks in bike lanes, I pulled up next to them, stopped in a street in Wrigleyville, which if I remember right, it was Clark, which is a busy fucking street. I stopped and I said, "Excuse me, miss, perhaps you should move closer to the lane." To which she said, "Fuck you, I am from Texas." Clearly he was doing the right thing. Which brings us to 2019, and Proco was up for his third election. And sure, he threatened a landlord, and he might have pretended to be a cop, but aldermen have easily been reelected for far, far worse. But what Joe didn't expect was an extremely credible competitor. A 38-year-old grad student and affordable housing activist by the name of Daniel LaSpada. LaSpada also happened to be one of at least 6 Democratic socialists running against incumbent aldermen that year.
Ooh.
But aldermen get young, bright-eyed challengers every few cycles, and incumbency brings along its own great odds of re-election. All Proco would have to do is campaign normally and go about his business. And go about his business he did not do.
Oh, man.
So it started comparatively small. In January of 2019, the Moreno campaign applied for a permit to display a 34-foot by 17-foot vinyl sign on the side of a building at 1418 North Milwaukee. The permit review committee turned it down due to it being a historic building. So the Moreno campaign just put it up anyway.
Oh, no.
Plus, there were lights installed so it could be seen at night. So it was definitely done on purpose with goals. Moreno would state that he was surprised a sign was put on the building, but even if there was one, it wouldn't be in violation because the sign was political speech and not commercial. The Wicker Park committee would be quick to note that it didn't matter what the message on the sign was and whether it was political or commercial or not. It's a historic building. You can't put signs on it.
This from the man who expected a permit for a mosh pit. How he has fallen. Wow.
And to the best of my knowledge, the sign stayed up throughout the entire campaign. In February, though, a huge bombshell would shake up the aldermanic world. The year prior, Daniel Solis, an alderman from the 25th Ward, suddenly announced that he would not be running for re-election after serving since 1996. Shortly after that, everyone would find out that the reason was because Solis had worn a wire for the FBI and caught Alderman Ed Burke on tape admitting to all the corruption.
All todos corruptions.
Making this even bigger is that Ed Burke is one of the most powerful political figures in Chicago and has been an alderman since 1969. And what would take a bit longer to find out, though, is that Burke wouldn't be the only person named in the Solis tapes. Turns out a lawyer and lobbyist by the name of Victor Reyes complained on tape that Solis wasn't, quote, sending him enough business, and pushed Solis harder by mentioning that 4 other aldermen, including Proco, had sent him plenty of business to keep him satisfied.
Oh, no. Proco.
The thing, though, is it's not really super clear what business is. It's probably city-funded attorney work that pays a fuck ton, but it's not, like, sexy enough to be a silver bullet. But you know what is, though? Soap opera levels of drama.
Yes.
Like all bad things, it starts with a black Audi. On February 4th, a woman by the name of Lilia Hrabar would be pulled over by the Chicago police due to a busted taillight. The cops ran the plates and found that the car had been recently stolen from Alderman Moreno. Hrabar would be arrested for criminal trespass of a vehicle, and the police informed Proco that they had finally found his car. The thing, though, is Lilia was insisting that she hadn't stolen the car at all. The Proco had let her borrow it, and not only that, she had the texts to prove it.
She brought receipts, y'all.
Yeah, never delete your texts. Always keep them. Keep them forever. Turns out Proco had been slightly dating Lilia. And I know what you're thinking, do your gasp. Isn't he married?
Yes!
And the answer is actually no.
Oh, they're just together in a European way?
Not even that. It turns out they had actually gotten secretly divorced at some point, and honestly, good for her.
Yeah, she saw the writing on the wall. She's a smart cookie.
Yeah. Selena Roldan is now currently the executive director of the American Red Cross for Illinois and Chicago.
Yes,
girl. Yeah, she's doing great. She's doing wonderful without this fucking asshole.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it turns out they had gotten secretly divorced at some point. But since then, Joe had become a bit of a ladies' man.
Oh, no.
And at some point, he met Lilia, a single mom and insurance broker, and the two began dating off and on. On January 3rd, Lilia asked Proco if she could borrow his car, to which he texted, "Meet me at my house at 11, you can have my car." She came by, got the car, and shortly after, Proco texted her to not smoke in it. The next day, Proco reported the car as stolen to the Chicago police. He then made dinner plans with Lilia for that night.
Is he trying to like scam some insurance? Did he just forget because he smoked in the house?
Well, after he scheduled dinner plans for her, he called State Farm to report that the car had been stolen, claiming that he must have left the keys in it and forgot to close the garage door, that, quote, someone scrambled a signal to open the overhead door
No,
automatically. You know how
no.
people do. Scrambling doors.
Yeah, it do be like that sometimes. What?
So a full month later, after he reported the car stolen, Lilia would be pulled over and arrested. In an interview with WGN, Proco would state that it was just a simple, quote, miscommunication, and that he only reported the car stolen because he couldn't get a hold of her, and that reporting the car was the only option he had left to get it back. The thing, though, is
Oh,
Lilia doesn't delete text messages and prove that they had talked all the freaking time, and that he never once asked for her to bring the car back. Joe responded to this by saying that there were calls of him asking for her to bring the car back, and, quote, I got the car back. She's fine. She's a single mom that I'm trying to help out. And, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
wow, wow. Just the number of buses he tries to run her over with. The number of, like, not just one, but then also throwing in how she's a single mom. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck you, dude.
It's really gross. Like, I didn't know Audi made a bus, but I guess they just did for
Yeah,
Proco.
like she's not the one trying and failing at insurance fraud.
Oh, and of all of this stuff, the Solus tapes and the car scandal, those both came out on the same day.
Amazing. Amazing. So one informs the other.
Yeah. As for La Spada, his campaign was going great. He was refusing all donations from developers and zoning attorneys, which he was outraised by Proco by about 5 times the amount, because
Gross.
Proco was taking all of that money
Yep.
happily.
With a Hoover.
Yeah. But Daniel made up for that lack of fundraising with a very strong in-person campaign. He also scored an endorsement from former state senator William Delgado, the man who defeated Proco in his very first race. La Spada based a lot of his campaign on his own socialist ideals, but also noting that Proco had only seemed to go to work as alderman 51% of the time.
Damn.
So it turns out the average amount of time that aldermen actually go to meetings is about 63%. So even with that measly bullshit, because, all right, here's the thing. Aldermen here in Chicago make a base salary of about 85 grand.
Dusty,
You
why
get
are
a
we
raise. You get a raise every year. By the time that Joe Moore left, he was making 6 figures.
Dusty, why are we still recording this podcast and not? And we're in different wards.
I
Like
know,
we wouldn't even compete against each other.
well, my alderman's amazing. She's so
That's
good. I
so
know
true.
like Maria Haddon deserves all the money.
She does. She deserves staying there until somehow suddenly she is like no longer progressive because we will have delightfully moved even further left. But there's hope. Well, okay. No, we're gonna make this happen. This is gonna be our grift, Dusty.
I mean, a job where you can make 80 grand and you only have to show up for work half the time.
That's the American dream.
That's astounding. It's like I feel guilty actually taking PTO just because
Yeah,
so many jobs in the past have made me feel bad for calling off when I'm genuinely sick.
yeah. Oh my God. I would take 40 grand just to work half the time.
Wait, I only have to show up half the time and you'll still pay me? Like I could do my passions and this?
Yes. Oh.
Ugh. So Proco at this point really needed something big to turn his campaign around. And it could be anything. It could be a well-run campaign. It could be a mea culpa to the public. It could be him endorsing some really bold, wonderful ideas. But fuck that. No. Instead, he found a picture of Daniel. And to be fair, it's kind of a fucked up picture. So the picture shows Daniel Laspada back in 2013. Daniel's in a banana costume. He's surrounded by a group of friends all wearing monkey masks, and they are taking the picture with a group of black youths. It is not a good look.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
But unlike Proco, Daniel completely owned up to it.
Right.
So the story behind the picture was that it was Daniel's bachelor party. His friends had left a banana costume in his room with the mysterious instructions to put it on and meet them at the park. He did, and then was quickly ambushed by all of his friends wearing monkey masks. According to La Spada, the group of young black kids saw them, laughed, and asked for a group photo. La Spada posted it to Facebook and forgot about it for 6 years. The thing, though, is Daniel immediately admitted that the picture on its own without the content is
Yeah.
racist as fuck.
Yeah.
He stated he should have known better and regrets it now and appreciates the community for holding him accountable.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the other guy has still not apologized for aggressively being into raves.
Look, we all do dumb things when we're young. Some of us own pocket watches, some of us go to raves. So Proco went back to his own campaign and he's back to doing shitty stuff. So it turns out people are super into progressive people now. And Proco, he might have started as a progressive, but he's been on Fox Business. He really needs to amp up his progressive stances. So he ends up sending out mailers with State Rep Will Gazzardi, State's Attorney Kim Fox, and City Assessor Fritz Kagi. claiming, sort of, or at least inferring that these very progressive people have endorsed him, which they
Oh
hadn't. And
no.
all three immediately called him out for using their likeness without permission, something you shouldn't do to a state's attorney. And yeah, Kim
Yeah.
Fox was dealing with a lot in 2019, but don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, she doesn't need your bullshit.
Yeah, like Fritz Kagi, he's county assessor, and he's busy assessing the value of people's homes, but he won that election because he goes after corruption. He doesn't fuck around.
Ugh, he's got so much to clean up. He's a busy man.
But if there's one big stake in the heart of an already catastrophic campaign, that would come 6 days before the end of the election in February. WBEZ, the NPR branch here in Chicago, released a story detailing the sexual harassment of Proco Joe Moreno towards his former social media staffer, Belia Portillo. Belia was hired on to do work for the alderman in 2014 at the age of 23. Belia stated that in 2014, that Proco and his staff went to a post-parade gathering at a bar called El Jardín. According to Portillo, at one point, Joe said, "Okay, we're going to have a contest. Everyone's going to have to take off their shirts. The girls can keep their bras on. And if your body is better than mine, then you get a raise."
I remember this news report. This is still so terrible as the first time I heard it.
It's very gross.
It's super gross.
So no one took off their shirts, but
No.
Portillo said that Joe continued on by commenting on and critiquing everyone's bodies, calling them fine or good. Portillo would resign from her position in 2015, stating in her exit letter that, quote, "Microaggressions and public beratement on top of inadequate benefits and an endless stream of service requests is entirely too much to shoulder." Portillo stated that she was expected to be on the clock 24/7 to answer questions from the alderman and was paid 25 grand a year for the work.
Ah,
She also noted that while Moreno would constantly declare that everyone should have health care, that he never offered it to her as a benefit,
mm,
which is a great sign of an asshole.
yup.
She also claimed that Moreno would force her to do campaign work while she was working as an aldermanic aide, which is highly illegal.
Yup.
The pretext, though, is that she was supposed to, quote, clock out to work on Moreno's 2015 campaign and then clock back in when she was done and went back to work for aldermanic duties for 25 grand.
Yeah, for not a living wage in the city.
Oh, not even close. In the end, Daniel Laspada would kick Moreno's ass 61-39.
Yes.
Well, it was an even bigger win for the whole city of Chicago in that election. 12 new alderpersons would represent the city, 6 of which formed the brand new Socialist Caucus in the city council. Many of them are young, genuinely empathetic, and in politics for what seems to be actually good reasons. And here's hoping they can inspire many others to run and crush the machine. But oh, I almost forgot. Proco Joe got arrested after all of this for filing a false police report and insurance fraud. His
For the
trial,
Audi?
yep,
Amazing.
he was officially arrested in May of 2019, just a couple months after losing his job. And I believe a week or two after he rezoned his own house to be a single family thing to like a dual, oh my God, a duplex. So he could start
Yeah.
renting it out.
Yeah, for that's soft money. Passive income.
His trial is scheduled for this year. Oh, I also forgot. Lilia also sued him for defamation. So hopefully that's still going as well.
Yes.
So his trial is scheduled for this year, but it's already got a hiccup because his lawyer is also a disgraced alderman who lost his job in 2019.
Amazing.
And turns out there's a Chicago law that alderman and former alderman cannot be your lawyer if the people who built the evidence against you are Chicago police, because you've kind of worked with them before and there's kind of an implicit bias.
Yeah.
But of course, they're fighting that. I
Of
think
course they
probably just to
are.
push the trial further and further ahead.
Oh no.
But the real lesson here, if we're going to take any of it, is never trust a black Audi.
Yeah.
And this is the story of Proco Joe Moreno III, the first of so many Chicago alderpersons we're going to be talking about for as
Oh,
long as we're allowed to do this.
Proco Joe, how far you've fallen.
Oh my God. I don't think he even fell to begin with. I think he was just really good at putting up the act for the first few years and then just got sick of not being himself.
Oh, that's even more heartbreaking.
Yeah, there's nothing about him that I feel good about. He feels like the sort of guy that if you were in a Wicker Park bar would not take the hint that he should not be hitting on you and then would like yell at your boyfriend when he showed up.
Right? Boyfriend being just like your male roommate.
Oh my God. Ugh, man. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's really weird. 2019 actually made me slightly optimistic for Chicago politics.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of really great people got in. Maria Haddon's been absolutely great. Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez, who was elected, she was initially the resident director of the Albany Park Theater Project, and
Oh,
she, along with another alderman, built a program in their neighborhoods that are essentially neighborhood watches for ICE. So if ICE is showing up to deport people, they have a system where they let everyone know and give everyone a heads up.
I have a feeling the next aldermanic election cycle will be like another bloodletting of the old guard because everyone's going to be watching and remembering. It's like, so what did you do during the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020?
100%.
Nothing? Get the fuck out.
Yeah. Find another job. Have fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so here's hoping. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us for Gadfly this week. We will be back next week with a story of some kind. I don't know.
Yay!
I planned things and then just completely tossed them aside, but we'll find out. Stay safe, stay good. And we'll catch you next week on Gadfly.
Woo.
Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.